Greetings, beloved. My name is Ernesto Richie, and welcome to the Divine Platform. I am going to talk about foolish knowledge. Yes, you heard me right. Foolish knowledge. And we are going to consider James chapter 1, verse 5. And the Bible reads, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him." The Epistle of James is a peculiar and fascinating book in the New Testament. It was written by James, the half-brother of Jesus. The book of James looks like the Old Testament book of Proverbs, dressed up in New Testament clothes. The book of James is the most practical of all the New Testament epistles because it is filled with moral precepts and states the ethics of the Christian faith. The immediate recipients of this book were the Jewish Christians who were experiencing fierce persecutions and as a result were facing some serious trials and afflictions. Now, with this backdrop of hardships God's people were going through, James, the church leader, writes to encourage them. In verse 5, he states, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him." Beloved friends, James is saying, if any of you is deficient in wisdom, if any of you is in short supply of wisdom, if any of you lacks wisdom as you face these trials, afflictions, sufferings, and hardships, let him ask of God, who gives to everyone generously. According to this context, this wisdom was for bearing afflictions. That was what the Jewish Christians were facing at that particular time. Wisdom was critical for them in order to see these trials in their proper light and respond accordingly. Beloved,
Today,
we don't just need wisdom when undergoing afflictions, but we need wisdom for effective and fulfilled living. It's an undeniable fact that knowledge and information have tremendously increased today. Man's quest and obsession for knowledge is ever on the rise. On the other hand, wisdom is in short supply and has become a rare commodity in society. With the sophistication and complexity of life, wisdom becomes imperative. We all need wisdom, dear friends. Not just ordinary wisdom, but spiritual and heavenly wisdom. God is the source of all wisdom. Why? Because wisdom is God-centered. All true spiritual wisdom is only found in Jesus Christ. God is the starting point for the education that leads to wisdom. Beloved friends, knowledge is not wisdom. Let me say it again. Knowledge is not wisdom. Knowledge is the acquisition of facts, but wisdom is the ability to use this knowledge rightly. It's not enough to be educated and gain knowledge. As important as education is, we also need wisdom. Beloved friends, knowledge is horizontal, but wisdom is vertical. It comes down from above. That's why if you lack knowledge, go to school. If you lack wisdom, get on your knees and tap from heaven the source of wisdom. You see, the problem is that some of us think we are too educated and smart for the things of God. Now, Charles Spurgeon comments, and I quote, "To know is not to be wise. Many men know a great deal and are all the greater fools for it. There is no fool so great a fool as a knowing fool, but knowing how to use knowledge is wisdom." End of quote. Then permit me to add that knowledge without wisdom is foolish knowledge. You see, fools may acquire encyclopedic information, but they cannot attain this wisdom because they do not take God into account and the picture. You see, we can get information online, but wisdom comes from on high. You can get knowledge from Google, but wisdom comes from God. That's why I'm saying wisdom is not acquired by a mechanical formula, but through a right relationship with God. Beloved friends, allow me to further describe wisdom in the next few moments. Wisdom in the biblical sense is something more than a bookish collection of factual information. Wisdom includes knowing how to conduct oneself in the practical affairs of everyday life. Wisdom is making wise choices. Wisdom is doing the right thing in relation to others. Wisdom is insight into the true nature of things. I love this. Watch this. Wisdom is the ability to see life from God's point of view. Listen carefully. Wisdom and the wisdom of God is a divine endowment and not a human acquisition. Oh, friends, we surely need the wisdom of God. You need a sip of God's wisdom when standing at the crossroads of career choices. You need a prescription of God's wisdom when choosing a life partner. You need a dosage of God's wisdom to resolve your marital challenges. You need God's wisdom to raise your children the right way. You need God's wisdom to successfully run your businesses and financial investments. You need God's wisdom when faced with life's perplexing dilemmas. Oh, friends, Jesus, I said Jesus is the fountain of all wisdom, but he is more. He is wisdom itself. He is the prototype and the epitome of wisdom. In him are all the treasures of wisdom hidden. True wisdom begins and ends with God. May God bless you.